Welcome back to another episode of HotSpot. My guest today is D Calderon,
Hello.
aka Delicious D, and we're going to be speaking to him for the next 30 minutes about everything to do with his production, his performances, and his personality. Right, hot one today, isn't it, D?
It is indeed.
Mate, yeah. This is the first episode being recorded in the 99% finished studio space.
Dude, it's a huge honour to be here. Thank you massively for having me, honestly.
No, it's important. We've delayed this a few times. My mistake.
No. We're busy people. We're busy people.
Cracking. Speaking of being busy, one of the things that I found helpful about being able to book you in for an interview is that you release these images of all of your dates for the coming month.
Absolutely.
And there's usually only a small handful of availabilities. So I think jumping straight into it, why don't you tell us why you're so busy?
I love what I do. I take absolutely every single opportunity I possibly can to do music in any way, shape, or form. I mean, I love performing. I love playing. It's my reason for waking up every single day. So if I can fill my calendar with as many of those opportunities, and I realise as well that a lot of them just seem to come out of the woodwork. Like I don't actively chase a lot of opportunities. I try. I mean, obviously there is a lot of like element in this industry of cold calling and applying for things and just trying your best to. But it still amazes me to this day after so many years that the amount of people that will contact me and just throw these opportunities my way. And it's always like absolutely 100%. I would love to do it. Actually, to be fair, there's got me a little bit of trouble a couple of times. I've been like said yes a bit too fast, a bit too preemptively.
Okay.
Then realised hold on a minute.
So probably best to give a little background context. So you are, would you say you're predominantly a busking artist?
So I mean, I've actually made a nice little transition. I mean, this all started from being a full-time busker. Where I busk 5-7 days a week minimum. Throughout every weather type, throughout the entire year, non-stop, all around the UK. To give a bit of background as well for everyone else, I basically throw a mattress in the back of my car and I'll just go travelling absolutely anywhere. Just to kind of play, learn more about my crafts, learn more about music, try and teach myself how to be a better musician. Because this all started from busking. Like all the music started from busking.
Of course,
yeah. For the first 2 years of my life, that's all it was. And then it was the third year that I was into this journey, and I said, I think it's time to start gigging.
Okay, start
this year we're going to start gigging.
Absolutely, yeah.
I kind of put that out there in the universe. I said, this unbelievable goal. I said, what I'd love to do is be in 100 venues by the end of this year.
Wow.
And that was going from just busking in the streets to that. And that's what I put out there in the universe. It got to December and we finished with over 100 venues.
Absolutely
all
incredible,
from gigs. And they're just absolutely, that's what I mean when opportunities just came out of nowhere. They all just spawned. And more kept coming. And the more they kept coming, the more word of mouth gets around. I think that's the kind of nice thing about maybe being in South Wales, or there being like a nice community around us.
We do okay. Yeah, we're all right. Yeah,
venue owners and people
we're a bit of a hotspot. Yeah, brilliant. So those opportunities to perform on stages, those opportunities for gigs, would you say that those people, the people that booked you for those, did they discover you through your busking, or was it through your online presences?
I think a lot of them is through busking or through word of mouth.
Okay.
Because you when you do it so many times, I dread to even think of a number of how many people have walked past me like over the years.
Of course, yeah.
You're talking thousands upon thousands in just a day if you're in a big city. And you never know who's going to be walking past.
I'd say 10,000 plus easily. Yeah.
You're there for a few hours. You're there for an entire day. And I mean, social media presence has definitely got me a few opportunities for sure. That's really surprised me actually. I get a message or someone will see me on the stream and be like, hey, I saw your post, like, awesome stuff. I really like this.
Awesome.
And that kind of blows my mind because you never really expect anyone to actually see it. So it's probably a mixture of all of them combined. Just word of mouth, seeing me on the streets, maybe seeing me at gigs or playing at other events. I feel like it's kind of like a snowball effect.
Okay.
The more you get seen, obviously, the more people are going to see you, and then the more opportunities are going to come about. But you can only really start that snowball yourself.
Okay. What would you say are the differences between busking versus performing at a gig?
Oh,
yeah,
it's a great question.
Yeah.
I actually talked to quite a lot of musicians because there's so many musicians that have been in the industry, have been doing this for decades, that have told me they've never busked before.
Never busked before.
They've never had the confidence.
This is why I think you're such a unique artist to interview on this. Yeah. Okay, go on. Sorry.
No, not at all. I think it's like the difference is that when you're playing at a gig, people expect to hear music. They expect to see you, like both from an audience perspective and as an artist perspective.
Yes.
You know that you're there to play.
Yes.
People have come to watch you play, and
Yeah.
that already sets an expectation. And maybe it could either be a confidence boost or maybe the opposite direction. Maybe fire you into
I
the
would
more
I
like
would totally agree that there's expectations of what you expect.
absolutely. And there's general expectation of music of some kind. On the streets, there is absolutely no expectation. Like no one goes to a town expecting to see a busker, right? No one walks through a town city or a town centre and they're like, oh yeah, I'm expecting to hear random music being played. Like it's always a spontaneous thing.
Good random music as well.
Yeah, hopefully. But yeah, it's this like kind of the spontaneity of it, and there's no expectation, and there's that kind of pressure, as especially from the first time for me. When I first did it, of creating this space, because you're like there's a venue that you're normally playing in, right? Even the expectation alone has created somewhat of an environment, of an atmosphere.
Yes.
But you have this entire space for you to now create.
You have to create a venue from scratch. Yeah,
absolutely.
Of course,
and because it's on such a personal level, it's much more vulnerable too. I mean, not just from like your gear perspective and whatnot, but you're physically in. Like, the people in the public, you're in a much more vulnerable position. People want to say,
massively.
A bit more,
no, absolutely, yeah, definitely.
Maybe a bit more mean or a bit more, I don't know, aggressive to you potentially.
Yeah.
But then also at the same time, a lot more personal. You get these real connections that you would never get on stage. You know, if you finish a song, you're not going to have someone come up to you and then tell you about their life experience with that song
Of
that you
course,
just played.
yeah.
Or how much that meant to you, or how much that just made you smile.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to interrupt your gig halfway through a set. But you do get those interactions when you're busking, and you feel truly that what you're doing can make a difference. And that's what drew me to all of this. That's what started this magical energy that
amazing.
You can really affect people. And I mean, you absolutely 100%. You can still do that on a gig level.
Of course,
but just being on the same, like even just the same eye level as people, and seeing them walk past and just suddenly they start dancing like from 100 meters away, not 100 meters, from the other side of the street or something.
Could be 100 meters away.
Hopefully not. It might be too loud.
I've heard you from over 100 meters away. Like I know it's a good day in town when I can get to either Charles Street or just the edge of Friars Walk, and I can hear. You're like, it's either going to be you with a loop pedal or it's going to be you with usually spitting or halfway through a song, but it's I can usually tell it's going to be a good busk, but yeah, from quite far away. So that's, yeah.
You just haven't heard me sing a bum note.
Well,
that echoes through the entirety of
it. It happens, and I think that part of busking, you're putting yourself in such a vulnerable. Not only vulnerable locations, especially if you don't know the location, but just a vulnerable state with not knowing who's around you, but also trying to do something at the same time. It's kind of like this half in, half out of I'm here to perform for you, but I don't want to upset you and bring on any kind of like issues. But
for sure, there's a lot of people message me for advice quite often actually when it comes to busking. And I think one of the biggest things that I try and say all the time is you just got to remember that this is everyone's space. And I try and push that message out as much as I possibly can. Like when I first started busking, I spent so much time on forums that would date back decades of like buskers from like the 2000s of these like original old school posts saying like, how to conduct yourself as a busker, because there's no technical rules.
Yeah.
I mean, there's legality and legislation behind it, but it's still like kind of quite iffy.
Okay.
But just this old mindset that seems to have kind of like gone through the decades is that you just got to be respectful and remember that the street is for everyone. The street is for everyone. Be careful where you're setting up. Don't block anyone's way. Remember, don't be too loud. Don't be obnoxious. Don't swear on the microphone. Be respectful.
No, of course.
Past.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the biggest things, and that's what keeps you out of trouble 99.9% of the time.
Brilliant.
Is when you're respectful for other people. And if you are setting up in front of a shop, and that's the only space you can do, maybe go and introduce yourself. Be like, hey, I'm going to play some music.
I'm going to be here for a period of time. Yeah. Is it okay if I just do this? Yeah, no, absolutely. Communicate with your neighbours. Communicate with people in your area. 100%. I completely agree with that.
Save you so much trouble, and you're generally that takes off so much worry in your own mind, especially if you're just starting out. Like, am I being annoying? Am I peeing people off or whatever?
I suppose that's probably the best advice as well, to kind of like just make sure that you can guard yourself for a little bit, because as long as there's someone who's familiar with you and familiar with what you're doing, it takes the pressure off of like, if something goes wrong, I can always just refer back to this friend I made 5 minutes ago.
Absolutely.
Brilliant stuff. Sometimes when you busk, and certainly at home as well, you stream your performances.
I do.
Can you tell us more about that, please?
Absolutely. So this is quite a newer thing for me, actually, is getting the whole like live streaming stuff going.
Yes, I am very interested. Please tell me more. Yeah.
So I can't say that it's gone like anything too crazy for me, because that was I found like it was quite difficult to start to manage an extra thing. Whilst I was playing, I was missing those like constant chats going through. For example, like trying to communicate with a chat that from a teeny little screen in the blazing sun whilst I'm playing, and then also trying to conduct myself in front of people, because you have Watch for Live, everything else that's going around you. And I noticed for the first few times I just wasn't paying any attention to the live stream. So I physically couldn't, or it was only like every 30 minutes or so I could refer back to it and I could see some messages come through. And maybe that killed some interaction. And then I watch other live streamers do it, and they're just doing it at home, so it's full interaction with an audience.
Totally safe, no interruptions, no distractions.
Absolutely, you can really build like a community space for it, because it's all just forms of entertainment, and if you can bring like a community together as well, then you can really build a fan base for it. And I think that doing it at home is a really, really great way to do that. Maybe the kind of live performance, either you've got to have to choose whether you're focusing entirely on the chats.
I couldn't do it. Yeah,
which I can see a lot of TikTokers that do that. And maybe less engaged with what's going on.
I think the reason why streaming is such a good thing to ask you on is because it does seem like that is going to be the next. I said this earlier. The next necessity for a lot of artists, whether they're musical artists, whether they are podcasters, whether they are streamers themselves. It seems like it seems like a good kind of niche to get into, just to help push the art out there more.
Absolutely. I think people are looking for just more, not just vulnerability, more realness. I think in terms of, I don't know, for me anyway, I like vulnerability, I like openness, I like being able to...
There's a lot of things you can't fake live.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
Absolutely. I mean, we've spent so long now watching TV shows that are perfect, even the things that are supposed to be real, which aren't real. And we now are very, very aware of that.
Yeah.
Live streaming has given this whole new idea, even from like the YouTubers coming up to now. I feel like I've just given this authenticity towards people that are, can build their own fan base, their own audiences that we couldn't really do before.
Yes.
And I think it's quite an attractive thing.
That seems to be the requirement for a lot of artists that are looking to get much bigger in the industry as well. Being able to not only cultivate your own community, but be able to nurture them, maintain them, and just be able to communicate with them directly rather than needing to rely on someone else, rely on a social media manager. Like, if you can do it yourself, have that personal connection, it saves so much hassle, and it's what the big labels and everyone wants at the moment. So
absolutely.
Can I ask what equipment you use for your streaming, if that's okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I've recently transferred over from Windows to Mac, because I'm already pretty deep.
Hold up. As I hide my iPhone. Yeah, okay, yeah, go on.
And I've realised how amazing this ecosystem is. I've always been a Windows guy from the start. I've always been like, I did buy an iPhone to get into I'm going to start posting more on social media.
Yeah, of course.
So you got to have an iPhone, right? But then when I moved over to have an actual Mac, oh my gosh, everything is so much easier. Like, I can just plug my phone in, and now my phone is my webcam. And now I can stream off that. So I can I can use my iPhone, which is plugged into my Mac, straight through into OBS.
Yeah.
And then OBS into
yeah.
TikTok.
OBS
and then
is
TikTok
brilliant.
out, and then you can also OBS out into...
OBS into TikTok?
Yeah, you can OBS into TikTok.
Brilliant,
If you wanted to do multiple platforms at the same time.
Multicasting, yeah.
So say if you wanted to go onto Twitch, then you can just do that off one to make it a little bit easier.
You're quite a clever guy.
I put a lot of time into this, to be fair, to kind of figure it out, because this was a whole new world. I love tech.
Yes,
This is a whole new world for me.
Yeah.
But when it comes to just busting the streets, it's just phone, bam, out there. Sometimes I was messing around with recording straight out of a mixer. Straight into
that was my next question. Yeah, how do you manage the audio? Yeah.
That's hard to do live, especially without something like OBS there, something to monitor yourself.
Of course,
for a long time. It's because I'm sending out levels to an amp, as well as sending out the same level then to my phone.
To the phone,
and it can get so. There's some of my biggest streams, funny enough, were just because someone said it sounded like going through a nuclear war. And that was one of my most watched streams, was just because of that, because the sound was so distorted, which I think sums up TikTok so perfectly, to be honest. But yeah, it's hard to manage. So nowadays I've just got, I've got these DJI mics too, and I've just shoved one in to the end of my phone, put one in front of my iPad.
Yes, yeah.
And then that's picking up the audio all around. It's
So
going to be cleaner.
there we go.
So.
I think as far as the audio production as well, I think if you're outdoors and that should help kind of compensate a lot of any audio going to the phone anyway. It's always nice playing in a nice acoustically treated environment, but that's not always available. You have to work with what you've got. But performing outdoors, particularly busking, it shouldn't be too much of a problem, I think.
Yeah, it's not too bad. I find that, I mean, I'm quite like an audio head now. Like I do love
Good,
sound being
yeah.
good. So it does kind of upset me a little bit when I'm looking back through the footage and I'm like, oh man, this has gone. Like there's no lows. You can only hear the highs, and that's going through someone else's phone speaker on the other side of it too.
Is my audio okay in the room? Is it all right? Have
Perfectly treated, man. No reverb at all.
Because this
Look at that. They're completely dead.
I love it. Yeah. I mean, the back end is untouched at the moment, and I'll figure out what I was going to put a TV there so we can kind of just bring stuff up while we're talking.
Nice.
But that's down the line. This I needed to get our conversational direction sorted first. I'm happy with it. The room was very echoey to begin with, but it's coming along. It's quite nice.
It's crazy what a bit of foam can make, right?
Yeah, a bit of foam. Yeah,
There's a lot.
I've lost count the number of tiles I've put up. I think I've put up probably 150 tiles somewhere. Yeah, so it's up there.
What I love about these is that you'll buy like 100 of them, and they'll come in this teeny box, and you're like, there's no way there's 100 in there.
There's
no way there's 100.
Yeah.
And then you unpack it, and then instantly there's
the air poof. Yeah.
And after like an entire day, it just getting bigger and bigger.
Love it. Yeah. That was exactly what happened. Yeah, I was like, where's the rest of them? The guy was like, oh, that's it. That's the delivery. Okay. You get like little sandwich. Like, yeah, that was fun. Is it important to invest in your gear, your equipment? And I think that question is across the board, both as a busker, gig performer, and artist.
1,000,000%. I think that transcends more than just music. I mean, if this is your business and this is what you want to do, invest in your business. It's a terrifying thing to do.
Massively,
I think that's the biggest factor that pulls a lot of people away from actually taking the next step, or taking steps in big enough strides, maybe, is because people are worried about investing money into what they love to do. You know, whether that's taking the step and going full time into what they do, or, you know, maybe they want to buy this gear, but it's just a little bit, it's going to push my budget really far. If you can afford it, absolutely. As long as it's justified, don't obviously unnecessarily spend money. Don't feed into the capitalist mindset.
No problem.
But if you can justify it, things like having a nice amp,
Yes.
makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
Like, don't buy the cheapest amp that you possibly can. Buy second hand, or 100% buy a Facebook Marketplace.
Okay.
Biggest fan of saying,
course, yeah,
go check Facebook Marketplace, try out the gear first. But yeah, having a good sound will be the biggest change of your own confidence, and everyone else will enjoy it far, far more. You'll get more opportunities coming out of it. 100%. Even just from the microphone that you buy, don't cheap out on a microphone. Get at least an industry standard.
You're paying for what you get. Yeah,
100%. You know, there's in a way, there's like, you can, if you're an incredible guitarist, you can make a really cheap guitar sound amazing. If you're an incredible singer, you can make a really bad mic sound amazing. But if you also have the ability to make something, you know, at your level and what you can afford to make it a little bit better, invest into it. You know, invest into a good camera, invest into a good microphone, do what you can at every opportunity you possibly can. That's been.
What about the creativity? What about the songwriting? What about the origins of any musical products you make? Where does that come from?
In terms of investing as well, or in terms of like, where did the journey start?
No. So, well, I didn't want to relate. I didn't want to connect it to investing. I wanted to see if it was wholly organic, or if it was something where you could correlate. The more you kind of reinforce yourself as an artist in terms of equipment, does that then help with your creativity as well?
Without a doubt. I mean, the whole looping thing that I do, the more that I learn about it, the more that I not just invest physical money, but the time into it.
The skill, of course,
it expands my own creative ability, my musical language, my skill.
Wow.
As just a general musician. And the more I play with it, the more you can find like crazy. I remember the first multi-effects pedal that I bought.
Yeah.
So you can tone your guitar into anything. You want to turn it into a flipping
Yeah.
keyboard. You can turn it into a
Yeah.
keyboard. Turn it into a violin. Just being able to work with these new sounds, like from a creative level, you're like, oh my gosh, these things that I could do.
I love that. Yeah.
Now it opens out so many new avenues. And yeah, so from like a songwriting perspective, like the more time you invest, and sometimes I think I don't want to tell everyone to go and buy like £1,000 piece of gear for the sake of it, because absolutely don't.
Yeah.
But, if you're finding yourself in a rut,
if you can,
yeah. If you
you
find yourself in
can.
a creative rut, maybe go down to a music store, try out some random things for free, and see like, oh, I really like how that sounds coming out. That's what's inspiring me right now.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Let's play around with that idea and see what comes out of it, because I've never had the chance to play on this instrument before, to create that sound before, and that can be a way to, potentially influence you.
How much do you kind of connect with other artists and musicians? How often do you kind of bounce off them or learn from them?
Well, never.
Never?
It's not a never thing. That's not true. I mean, I get inspired all the time by all the musicians that I meet in the local area. That's
Definitely,
been my biggest thing. Going to open mics, seeing these other musicians, not just like these incredible level musicians.
Okay.
And I look at them and I'm like, I want to be at your level at
Yeah,
some point.
yeah,
I will
yeah.
put in the years to get to their point, to get to your level. And that kind of point, like 100%. I'm constantly mind blown by the people around me.
Amazing stuff.
And it's so amazing to see, even just be able to take creativity. I'll be so inspired and come home and be like, I want to write something similar to what I've just heard, or like something that I've just the kind of sound that you just made was amazing. Is there some way that I can incorporate it into my sound, or something that I could do with that? To be constantly inspired in that way. The only downside when I say never is actual like I've done this journey very much on my own and solely on my own.
A lot. Well, that's what it appears to be. It appears to be that you've grafted by yourself. You're able to reap those rewards. But again, a lot of these things are kind of communal. There's a lot of communal elements to them. So it'd be nice to hear how you fit into the musician community.
Yeah, it's kind of odd thing. I've kind of shoehorned myself, because not only did my music career start from moving country to Wales, in a completely
Your origin
new area.
story is quite impressive. I mean, I know it, but if you'd like to tell it again.
Yeah, of course. So I mean, my background, I never studied music basically growing up. Music was never really a real interest for me.
Yeah.
I didn't study it at school because that would be you'd be kind of bullied in my school.
Really?
At that kind of age, and for some reason my year was really, really brutal. So like for music GCSE, I was explaining this to my mum actually the other day. I know one person that took music GCSE.
Okay.
They must have had like a really tiny class for sure in our
Of course,
year
yeah.
of I don't know 180 odd students, and for some reason, it was just a really out there thing, especially if you were a guy.
Interesting.
Like the only people
Wow.
that took music were females.
Okay.
At the time anyway, for my year.
Okay.
And it was not an encouraged thing at all in my school.
So were you expected to take things like PE or?
I did take PE. That was exactly what I did.
Sorry, okay, nailed it. Yeah.
So I did have an interest in it. So I got to, my background was a state agency. I did a state agency in Western Supermare.
Amazing.
Did a
Yeah,
state agency in central London.
Yeah.
And I went travelling, and for 3 months I had an opportunity to do it, to try and kind of reset my life. And then coming back upon reflection, probably because Facebook was listening to my possible conversations.
As they do, yeah.
And I was thinking back, like, what's the consistent thing? And I realised that even though I couldn't play an instrument, I wasn't very good at singing or anything else, I loved performing to people. And it was like everywhere I was trying to find some opportunity to sing a song, or to go to karaoke.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
I remember borrowing someone's guitar and just playing on the beach, like these really basic open chords, just sitting by the beach for hours. And that was like, in all this chaos, that was the only thing that seemed to stay consistent.
Wow.
Throughout all of it. And when we were coming back home and explaining that to someone, and then scrolling through my Facebook feed, Lord behold, what comes up? An advertisement for a music university.
Wow, okay.
And they said, you didn't need to study music before, you can do an audition. So I grafted for 6 months to try and throw myself in the deep end for music theory. I knew I wasn't going to be able to learn an instrument in 6 months, so if I could at least learn the theory side behind it.
Of course, yeah.
And try and understand music. And those 3 years were also through COVID. Time. So it was a bit of a weird, like you couldn't get a chance to really learn from other musicians or anything else. Graduated that and thought at this point I'm like in my early 20s. thought that if I want to do this, how am I going to do this? So packed up my stuff, moved to Wales, just for other circumstances
Of
sent me
course,
here
yeah,
anyway,
yeah, yeah.
and thought, let's just try busking, and we're going to start from square one, going to learn how to sing, and then singing turned into learning how to play guitar, and then learning how to play guitar then turned into looping straight away off the bat. And then everything
Incredible.
kind of came up from there, but it was playing every single day
Yeah.
and practicing every single day.
Throwing yourself
4
in the
years.
deep end. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, it did throw me completely in the deep end.
Wow.
And I think that's the kind of, I guess, the kind of odd thing is I speak to other musicians, and most of the musicians that I meet, especially the ones that are incredibly talented,
Yes.
have already been grafting for 2 decades,
Yes.
2.5 decades, 3
Yeah.
decades, 4 decades. They started off with before, they could play guitar before they could walk.
I'm so glad you brought it back round to mentioning other musicians. So you explained earlier that you've taken a lot of inspiration from musicians that you meet, musicians from open mics, other experiences. Is that something that you hope to kind of pass on to other either musicians or non-musicians as
Oh my
well?
gosh, yeah, absolutely. That would be the biggest honor. I mean, I've had some people say like I've started busking because I've seen that you busk, and
Amazing.
and that blows my entire mind. Or people come up to me, especially when I first started, they were like, "I love what you do. I want to do this too." I'm like, "There's absolutely nothing stopping you. All you need is a microphone and an amplifier. You don't even need you don't need the microphone, just an amplifier. You play guitar. Amazing.
Yeah, well, that's
that's
it.
all you need.
Yeah.
And it'll be the best investment of your entire life if you want to do this. As it doesn't need to be a career, but just investing in something that you love
Yes.
to do is so infectious for everyone else around you. Like to have that gives you a purpose for your day. And it's such a fulfilling feeling. So yeah, if I could do that to other people, give me like another 5 more years,
Wicked.
10 more
Brilliant.
years, then yeah, that would be amazing.
Awesome. So, what can we expect from Delicious D going forwards? What can we? Is there an album? Is there a tour? What's coming next?
We're always super busy. So well, it depends when this comes out. I don't think it's going to come out in time. But the end of this month,
Quick.
in 2 weeks from now, I'm going to be on tour. I'm doing my next basking tour once a year. At least once a year. I normally do like a big old proper long tour.
Busking tour. Okay. Yeah. No. Please. Yeah. Carry on. Yeah.
But I kind of just pick a destination super far away in the UK and say, I'm getting there somehow. I'm going to stop at every single town and city on the way. However long it takes me, I give myself like 2 weeks or a week and just survive off good vibes and sunshine.
Noodles. Yeah. Brilliant. Okay.
So I've got that coming up. So for the last, every kind of year, I've been giving myself these bigger goals, like when I spoke about the 100 venues in a year.
Okay.
And this year was the original music-focused year for me. And this is where these opportunities have come around, like playing my first ever proper ticketed show in the pub, which just happened.
Okay, yeah.
And I've had more opportunities
Congratulations,
this year.
by the way.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Best memory of my entire life. Anyone watching this that came to that, you are my favourite people. Thank you so much for coming down. But yeah, so pushing the original stuff is the biggest goal from the beginning.
Okay.
I've been practicing playing covers, playing in pubs for so long now, hundreds of gigs worth. Now we need to try and use the skills that I've learned to transition that into original music. So towards the last half of this year, there is going to be a lot more stuff actually released. Because at the moment we've done so much live performance.
Okay.
The only time people come up and be like, "Hey, can I hear your music?" Like, yeah, you can. It's older stuff though that's out there. So if you want to actually listen to the new stuff, you're gonna have to come watch a show.
Yes.
Or you're gonna have to catch me busking.
Yeah.
So yeah, to actually get that stuff recorded, have it out there. My plan is to do another one of those. I did a live EP last year, at the end of last year. I would love to get another one of those out by the end of this year.
The Loop 101, like
Loop
live
101,
Loop,
that's
yeah.
the one.
Okay, yeah, cool. Because I've bought some stuff on iTunes already, and I do love it, and it's always nice when I hit shuffle and it just comes up. I'm like, I know that guy. Yeah. Okay, yeah, but definitely if there was more kind of like if there was an album or an EP, that would be really nice.
That would be really good. So
yeah.
the plan is we've got still 5 months left of the year. If I can get that full live EP out, another one of those out, and get a full single out, that's my goals to get done by the end of this year. I booked out September and October to dedicate directly just towards that.
Okay.
To get that done by the end of this year. So that's my big goals, my big plans.
Would you head into a studio? Would you work with a producer?
Absolutely, yeah. For time constraint wise, my perfection brain wise, and also again investing now.
Of course, yeah.
I'm happy to invest in this and to make this be as good as it possibly can.
Good.
And
okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I think for further opportunities as well, you've got to have. It's all well and dandy for having your home recordings and your home studio stuff, but
It's
Same
good.
with the sound, if you can make your sound better.
Going to a professional environment, 100%, yeah.
Absolutely.
You know, and I would advocate that for any musician, whether they're just starting out or they've been doing it for years. Please, by all means, you know, spend some money on a producer, get
Absolutely.
a second pair of ears, definitely, yeah. Okay.
Especially because it's such a multifaceted thing now. Every single like rabbit hole you can go down to is so deep from the music.
Loads,
When it comes to sound, when it comes to
yeah.
live performance, when it comes to lighting, when it comes to social media, everything. One of these, if you can find yourself someone who is amazing at it,
Yes.
work with them 100%, because that's the
Keep them
collaborative
close,
side
build
of
the
it.
team.
Right?
Yeah, definitely, yeah. I know there's studio engineers that have been doing this for Christ 20, 30, 40 years, and they're still like, they keep their rates really low, not because they're trying to survive, but because they're trying to help other musicians survive. And their bills are paid, they've got royalties coming in from this, that and the other, but they keep their rates at like £20 an hour just to make sure that, you know, anyone can afford what they're doing.
That's awesome.
So it's quite good.
That is
Happy
really
days.
awesome.
Brilliant. Okay, so busking tour, live EP, more singles. Where can people catch you next?
So coming up, this coming week I'm playing Brecon Pride, because we've got all the Prides coming up now, which I love.
Yes,
Love playing
yes.
Prides.
Yeah.
Some of my favourite performances. I love the energy. I love everyone's so
They can be
so
they
lovely.
can be really nice people. This really nice events. Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely,
It's
yeah.
such a loving event. It's amazing.
I think that's what the whole thing is just supposed to be about. Just about,
Absolutely.
you know, being proud of who you love and things like that. But
What
yeah,
a beautiful
okay.
message as well. It's very like they love it. Love is freaking love.
Yeah, you would fit into that kind of like industry quite well. Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, I've got Brecon Pride coming up next week. I do private events too. I do weddings. So I've got a wedding coming up next week.
Do you do corporate events?
No, I did one actually just this Friday gone, funnily
Okay.
enough.
Okay.
Which is my first proper like corporate event.
Okay.
The more like kind of corporate-y stuff would kind of
Yeah.
be like, oh, we're having a barbecue, I guess.
Okay,
for
fair enough.
work.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I'll
I'm just wondering, just in case anyone I know kind of like asks, do you know any musicians
Absolutely,
who
I
do
do.
corporate
Any
events?
opportunity to play.
I guess you could have Delicious Tea, I guess. You go down well, yeah. Amazing stuff, happy days. Where can people find what you're doing?
I'm all over social media on every single platform you could possibly imagine, because I try my best to be. My main ones are Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. All under It's Me Delicious D, but every handle platform. The Twitch stuff, I am trying to get that going properly now.
Yes, okay,
That's coming
yep.
up, but it's done the same handle again of It's Me Delicious D. I'm on YouTube for more long form content, Spotify, OnlyFans, you know.
Amazing, there we go.
You have to find out if that's true or not.
Yeah. I
So
mean,
he's like, oh!
if you need a photo shoot, I know a guy. It's me. Awesome.
Yeah, all over. Delicious D, It's Me Delicious D, we'll bring you up. Yeah, if you wanted to find me, and I busk everywhere all the time. If you're local to Newport and you're watching it, you'll find me in Newport. If you're local to Cambran, I'm always in Cambran.
Are you busking today? Have you made plans?
No, I
to
didn't bus today.
Because you were supposed to perform today, but things changed.
They did indeed.
Okay.
But I was up in, what was I yesterday? It was the Bargoy Summer Fair.
Okay.
Summer street
Yeah,
festival
yeah,
thing
yeah,
they did
yeah.
yesterday. And I've got to play for like 4 hours there.
Incredible
yesterday,
stuff.
Which is so beautiful.
Absolutely amazing.
So yeah, I'm always around, making a lot of noise. Look for the small Asian guy with pink hair, and you'll
the ripped Asian guy, the shredded, bodybuilding, super healthy. Yeah, let's not underplay it. That's not
very
underplay it.
kind.
If you can find D socials, right, you will find topless pictures of D, right? I know you can see it on the camera already that he's in good shape, but I promise you, find the pictures. He is cut. Okay, so yeah, that's
Thanks, Danny.
just I only tell the truth. That's it, right? Yeah. Right, Dee, thank you so much for coming on the podcast series. This has been an absolutely fantastic interview. I've loved interviewing you.
It goes both ways, man. Thank you so much for having me, man.
Happy to,
it's
bro.
a huge honour.
No, I wanted to make sure that the first episode in this new studio space went well, and I couldn't think of a better artist to do that with, because it's. I've got an interview coming up next week, and there's 7 members of the band. So I'm just gonna force them all on that sofa. Maybe have a little. That's it. Maybe have a little one next to me. I'll put my legs up. Just I'll be comfortable.
That'll be amazing.
Yeah, thank you so much, bro. Thank you everybody who's checked out today's episodes. Please remember to like and subscribe. And if you're a musician who's hoping to come on the HotSpot podcast series, you can find a MailChimp sign up link in the description where you just fill out the form, give us your name, performances, history, just whatever the form asks for, fill it out. It'll come back through to us and we'll find a date for you to come in and have your interview. Thanks again to my guest, D.
Thank you for having me.
That's it. Peace.